Welcome to the spring special. I thought I would show you around the entire property, starting with my leptospermum plantation, or sort of semi-plantation. I decided back in 2017 to experiment to see if it was actually worthwhile getting bees and putting in leptospermum plants and seeing if they survived. This one is budding, I've just noticed, and is just about to go into flower. The flowers are pretty big on this one. This one is also budding as well, so this will be going into flower. So normally they flower between November and February. The one up here is in flower, and that can sometimes start flowering in July. So there's quite a big flowering window, which is fantastic, especially if you've got bees. I'm finding they don't particularly like being on these species. So when I do plant the plantation, it's going to have lemon myrtle in it as well. It's the same family, myrtle, leptospermum, and we will see how the bees go with there being a bit of a variety and a bit of a mix. But that's where we're going next. First of all, I just want to show you what they look like in flower because they're pretty phenomenal. And I don't care if the bees like them or not, I love them. And when you drive up the driveway, it looks like snow has covered them. It's just phenomenal when they're in full flower. They're beautiful. So having just walked down here, I've noticed there are bees buzzing around, and there's natives and European honeybees as well. So that's really looking up, because I haven't really ever seen bees being that worried about these leptospermum before. And I also wanted to see if changing the soil would make any difference. And I just love them. I love the shape and the way they are, even without flowers. Just seen, I don't know whether you can see, that is the Carpentaria bee. Where is it? I'll try and zoom in for you. There. That's a solitary bee, native to Australia. And stunning, stunning colour. Look at that. Aren't you guys lucky? Oh, there's another one. Where is it there? I haven't seen any of those this year. It's just been so wet. Oh my goodness, there's loads of them. Oh, that's so good. That means it's so healthy here. Wow. It's absolutely stunning. The colour against the blue sky. Honestly, it's a photographer's delight. And we've got lots of flying insects, not just bees, which is pretty standard. I'm just going to step backwards and show you how that one is in flower, and then these other branches don't have any flowers on. That's because they have actually already flowered. So you should be able to see them going to seed. So they stagger their flowering through, depending on the size of the bush. So this was my leptospermum plantation on the side of the hill. And I want to plant this out completely so that we don't have to mow it, because as you can see it's really steep. I'm so pleased with some of these up here. Ooh. No idea what they are. A lime tree doing something. All those fruits. I just want to orientate you. So we're at the hill paddock, we're at the top. So if you haven't seen my specific series, which is about my property and regenerating it to primary production, then hop onto the hill paddock one, the link will be below. And I just need to orientate you. We'll be going down here, and then on the left, about halfway down, there's sort of a bit of a plateau area, which is where I want to put the plantation. So let's go and have a look. I do think it's quite funny because I think this is a plateau even though it's still on an angle. But believe me, this is fairly flat for this property, and it sort of shelves all the way through, which we'll go and have a look at. I have done nothing with this. I know what my plan is. I want to brush cut and I want to plant tube stock that I germinate from seed with both lemon myrtle and leptospermum. I did try germination, but it wasn't very good. I don't know whether it's a time of year, whether I need to actually put a bit of flame, a bit of fire to these seeds. But anyway, I just want to show you what is in store. I have devil's fig everywhere, so I have a little handheld chainsaw now, and we will just have a quick look through here so that you understand what I've actually got to do. Okay, so we're just walking through this plateau here in amongst all the weeds, and the weeds have done a great job. They have to, this area, if I get a dozer in and just clear it, with the amount of rain and the weight of the land above it, we'll just have a slip. So all these weeds, as much as, oh, they're a real pain, and I've got all this burr coming up as well now. This is all the burr. At least it will hold it in place. So it's fairly flat here, just in this little area here. Across there you can see it starts to get a bit steep again. But if I just turn around, there you go, that's my flat area. But it kind of goes down to here, and then it drops off again. See? But interestingly, on this flat area there's not too much billy goat. As you can see, there's billy goat hanging off there. And then here, we've had a few trees come down, monarch butterfly there. Just loves, I call them the pom-pom weed. I haven't actually worked out what their proper name is yet. Some of you guys will know. Yeah, so there's a tree here. Some fern, possibly bracken. Okay, so there you go. Ooh, getting all tangled up. This is my plateau, flat area that's going to have my little plantation on it. And as I've already learnt, the leptospermum love it here, and by the looks of it, the bees are loving the leptospermum, loving living here too. So I've got a win-win situation, and that's why it's so important to experiment. Okay, just want you to have a bit of a look at the gully of this paddock, because this is the hill paddock, the gully that you have seen before. Just got to try and get down here without slipping, because it's a little bit wet in the gully here. You can see I've got ground cover, but it's not, well, it's 50-50 I'd say, grass and weeds. Let's just get you facing where I'm going. And then this is the gate area, the double gate area, which is really eroded. You can see it's getting steeper and steeper. This is where we're going to go. And then I want to show you what I have planned. I'm really lucky that the grass is actually growing on this subsoil, which is between the rocks. But as you can see, this is all really eroded here. But we'll jump out and have a look. So with the amount of rain that we've had, you can see it's just massively eroded. So I took this fence out because I needed to, as you are aware because you've just experienced it, with say half a tonne, it's about half a tonne of muck heap in a trailer, it pushes me down that bit, especially when it's wet, and it's really quite scary. So I haven't been able to do anything, so I took this fence away, re-fenced over there temporarily so the horses can be over there, and I dumped one muck heap here and one muck heap there. And what I'm going to do is, all of this bare area, I've got some beautiful multi-species seeds from Kandanga Farm Store when I was there doing the presentation, and the only way, I can't dig into this, it's subsoil, I can't get any machinery on, so I have to just broadcast it myself and then layer that compost on top. And the compost is purely there, as much as it is a muck heap, so you've got the carbon and the nitrogen, it's purely to stop birds or anything wanting to dig it up, because as you know, I've got a bush turkey. It's not really a problem, it's just Mother Nature has given me at least 5 bush turkeys to deal with. The rest I thought what I'll do is I'll oversow with oats, and we are going to get some more rain in a few days. So, and the oats just go like that, they just love this country. So I'll oversow there, and then of course, as we move on to the next paddock, you'll understand what I've got to do with my horses, because I need to move them off these two. This has been my sacrificial paddock, the hill paddock, and that's great, but it really needs some form of rest so that it can just cover the bare spots. And I need to go down there as well. There's a lot of erosion. I've got a gate post to fix. These are all my spring jobs, you see, that's why I'm doing this. This is the spring special. And then down here, it's super stepped. It's really eroded because of course the horses were hanging out there, and the more that they moved around, the more that they dug steps, because it's just so slippery, so they'll slip and they'll be just gouging great big chunks out of the bank, which wasn't a bank, it was just part of the paddock. So this is the double gate area that's going to have the multi-species and the oversown into pasture with the oats. So this is going to be really interesting and exciting. Okay, the market garden I've been chipping away at very slowly. I've now got my shuttle up here. Arm 3 is half an arm because I ran out of imported soil. I've had to change a few things, but I'm going to make a video about this anyway, so I just wanted just a bit of an overcap. Horses broke in, ate the oats that I'd sowed as a multi-species, and then I took down all the netting. Thank you, good girl. This is a Lucia. She wants her breakfast. I took down the netting because it was just a pain, and I let this one in because she is in foal, so she could get a bit of grass and a bit of different species. And she then nailed the oats again because they came up again about that much. And what I noticed, and I was really blown away by this, is that the rest of the multi-species is actually taken. So I've got vegetables in there. Kale, coriander, some kalen. Of course, the tomatoes, I'm just pulling them up because they're almost a bit of a weed now. And lots of other stuff in there. And because I thought that because the oats had taken over, that nothing else would grow, it would just be oats. And I think that probably would have been the case, but because the horses came in and grazed it, so it's given me such a good idea of that whole strip grazing within what I'm going to do in the South Paddock and on the knoll area, is that the grazing is really important. It's such an important part of actually growing food. So I'm very excited about that, so that's some more videos to come. I did change the way that I planted my multi-species, so I did carrots, multi-species, rather than multi-species and carrots all in one go. As you know, I do like growing carrots. I have also, with the beehives, I've got a double brood happening to expand the bee population, and then that will be my R hive, so I've got F, A and R. The queen left the first hive, so she swarmed and they just made another queen, and so she's laying now, but that hive is half what it should be. And so in a couple more weeks, hopefully, or maybe even just another 7 days, I'll put another box on top, as long as it's really strong underneath. I'll give that another brood box, and then I'll be able to spell farm, F-A-R-M, brilliant. So that's, I've got to fix the fence, I've got to do the irrigation, I have got to continue making more arms. There's a drain here that's just a swale and it's really boggy, and I'm going to put a pipe in and cover that so that I've got access with my ute and my trailer to drop off the muck heap into the market garden, which was the small arena, and that will help me build soil for the rest of the arms, and also I should be able to bring in some more soil. How very Australian. So what I also have done is I've tried to put out an intention for the bush turkeys and the wallabies to stay off that third arm. I want to see if this actually works. So I've gone around and I put my energy down saying that, guys, you can have the rest of this property, but where I'm growing food, particularly this third arm, I really need you to stay off. And it's worked. The bush turkeys haven't gone on. The wallabies have, but it was because I gave the intention specifically to the bush turkeys. So I have put bush turkeys and wallabies in my intention now. But as you have just seen, the wallabies are out of control, really. They're growing in numbers and they're just everywhere, but they're native, so they do their part in the biological action and the ecosystem. Anyway, really happy. The raspberries, the lemons, I've got some cabbage, the rocket, everything's just gone off. I have done the bricks tests and it wasn't reading very high. So I still got to keep building and improving that soil and conditioning it. I have planted some avocado as well. So that is really, really busy, although it just looks like an absolute tip. And there's metal wire everywhere, but that was the reason. It's work in progress. And if I can not have the wire around every single bed, it would be easier. Much, much easier for me. I prefer it. So that's the market garden and my beehives. Knoll paddock, banana plants were doing really well, and then we got a really strong wind. And that blew over one of the citrus as well, one of the lemons. So what my plan of action is, get the tractor, slash in there as best I can. What I need to do, because that's had a full rest now, that's had no horses on it, whereas this has actually had some horses on it, not for very long, but long enough to, well, it was before winter, and so then of course the grass stopped growing, and that's where you can see the difference, the old fence line difference. So I'm going to fence off the knoll area because I really don't want any grazing on there at the moment until these trees are actually established, and I know what they'll do. The horses will just munch on the bananas. And then what I need to do as well is, in the south paddock, I need to open it up to the horses as well, because the horses just need somewhere else to go. And again, this has been rested, but I also have slashed it, and I need to fence it because the really bad floods, when we had about, I don't know, 300 mil over 3 days, something like that. Anyway, it took the fence with it. So I haven't had any horses in here, as you can see. Devil's fig, lantana, really, really badly. Billy goat, where there isn't any lantana and devil's fig, because that sort of seems to be a lower soil conditioner. And I'm not sure whether I've actually mentioned this, but with my temporary electric fence that have got the little prong at the bottom, if I go for a piece of grass, I can't physically get it in. If I aim for a patch of weeds, in this case billy goat, bang, it goes straight in. So that's what it's doing to the soil. So I'm not particularly anxious about the billy goat weed. in the south paddock, this side of the south paddock, you will see something quite phenomenal that I was hoping I would see, but it's taken a fair few years to get that happening. So that's what I just slashed around there so that you've actually got a boundary to see the difference, where I have treated it with Ag Solutions fertiliser, which is awesome for me because I can just put the bags in the back of the ute and come and just broadcast them freehand. I don't need any machines. And I've done that 2 or 3 times in this one particular area. Now it's really interesting because the horses go there every single time. As soon as they come in this paddock, that's where they graze, where I fertilised. And now what you'll see is there's less billy goat weed. So everything that we believe in theory about weeds either soaking up the excess nutrients, like the NPK, if you've got too much nitrogen, they come in and just soak it all up. Or in this case, where the billy goat is really, really trying to condition the soil, whether it's a deficiency in copper or calcium or just compaction, whatever it's doing, when I added those minerals, and I have added quite a lot of mineral, what I would believe, because I'm doing it freehand, so there's no calibration. It's just throw it here, there and everywhere. But I mean, I'm lucky because it is a slope, and of course it does, the gravity does have that effect, and when it rains, of course, it leaches down. But you will see the difference. That's got a fair bit of grass in it. It's been completely rested, and it's got a lot of weeds and a lot of different weeds, and that's absolutely fine. This area here is starting to be taken over by weeds, but it used to be just pure grass. And then here used to be pure weeds. I'm quite excited about this. So I'm just going to nip around with the tractor now, get this area slashed, take out as many of those devil's fig. If I can't, if they're too thick, they look pretty good actually. I think the slasher will go through them. That tractor's incredible. I love her, she's a babe. And then, yeah, get this to really grow back strong with the spring grass, and hopefully just quell these weeds a little bit. And if it works, and it is working, I can see, then bingo, I'm definitely onto something here. I know the format, I know how to progress. So scored, and I'm really happy about that. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the spring special on a beautiful spring day in southeast Queensland, hinterland of the Gold Coast. And keep watching the videos because they're going to keep coming.